What is going on YouTube and Spotify? This is the Just BSN podcast, and today we got some big, well, I wouldn't say big news, but we got some Gardos news, man. The Gardos are tearing it up right now, man. They are playing fantastic. Currently up 8-0 on good old Seattle. Just putting a little bit of a beat down on them. Pretty much the most old-fashioned way that you can in baseball, which is just getting hits and driving in some runs. So they are playing well so far. And then obviously we're going to go into some more Cavs talk. But Andrew, how are we doing today, my friend?
Dude, I'm doing great, man. We got Gardos back. The Guardians are finally back. We got some Cavs to talk about, man. But all in all, it's a good day.
It is a good day, and it's finally a day that we don't have rain, since we were
Yeah,
supposed to get this biblical storm last night that we ended up
never
not even
happened.
getting. Like there was nothing. Like I was kind of excited for some tornadoes and some fun stuff, but you know we didn't get none of that. We literally just got a bunch of lightning, some rain, some wind.
Hmm.
The normal, Ohio stuff that you get in April. Like this is what we get every April. So, very uneventful, but I'm glad that it's starting to dry up because I'm tired of this rain already, and it's only been like a week, like into spring.
Dude, I'm just ready for it to be above 50 degrees. You know,
Well, next week it's going to be. I think next week it's going to be almost 80 for some days. So we're just going to finally start to get warm.
yeah, I mean, let's fucking hope so, dude, because I am
Yeah.
tired of this cloudy mid to low 40s and
Let me see. I'm gonna look
rain
at.
is starting to annoy. I think it's supposed to be starting in the 60s next week, like on Mondays. Like legitly starting on Monday or Tuesday, it's supposed to be like 60 something.
Yeah, Cleveland. So here, I'll do your
Okay.
little forecast. Actually, it dropped significantly from when I last looked at it. Because when I looked at near me, it was going to be like 70 degrees, like Tuesday and Wednesday. Now it seems to be a little bit lower. But this weekend it'll be cool. Today it's obviously about 60, but it's still a little rainy in some spots.
Yeah.
40 to 45 degrees for the rest of this week. Sunday it'll be 49. Monday it'll be 58, 57, 63, 60, and 55. So, I mean, it's typical spring weather. Honestly, I
Hmm.
think that's my favorite type of weather. It is not being too hot, but not being, overly insane either. But yeah,
Cold.
it's going to be warmer down here than it is for y'all. So, sucks to suck for Cleveland, I guess.
Yeah, I think the lake just makes it a little bit colder
It
and
does. I mean, it's so much windier over there. Like you
yeah.
can't even compare the two. It's literally a totally different atmosphere up there, like for sure.
Oh, I was driving back home from Nashville on Sunday and just going from like Tennessee to Kentucky to Ohio, like Tennessee was like mid 70s and going to
Yeah.
Kentucky again it's still like 70 degrees and stuff like that. Then you get into like Cincinnati, it's like okay, it's like high 60s.
Yeah.
Columbus, it's like mid to high 60s. Then you start getting to Akron, it's like okay, now we're starting to get to like the mid low 50s, and then we got up to Cleveland, it's like all right, it's like 45 degrees.
Yeah. It's 45 degrees and it might snow.
It was a 30-degree drop off in one day
Yeah.
just driving up. It was insane. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm tired of this 45-degree shit.
Yeah. It won't last too long, but also the horrible thing about Ohio is just the fact that we can get snow even into May. Like my dad's
Yeah.
birthday is May 4th, and he's like, dude, I've had snow on my birthday a lot. Don't say that again. Like don't even put that into the world again because I do not want any more snow. I'm done with snow. I can
Yeah.
handle rain. I cannot handle snow. But it's only gonna get hotter from here. But yeah, off topic. And now we're back to Guardians talk. So yeah, I totally mentioned a little bit ago that currently up 8-0 on Seattle, and we're really not hitting a whole lot of dingers. Both of the Naylor brothers have hit. Have at least hit one apiece. I know J Ram hit one. I want to say somebody else has hit one as well. But honestly, we've just been.
Tyler Freeman.
Yeah, but other than that, we've really just been hitting the ball, hitting doubles, singles. I know Jimenez, I think, hit a triple in the first series, against the A's. So, like, we're just hitting the crap out of the ball. We're playing really well so far. And I think the biggest thing, too, is this pitching staff is starting off hot, and it all starts with Shane Bieber. Man, it looks like Shane Bieber's back after a few rough years of just injuries and everything else that's gone on with him. His velocity looks back. He's throwing around a 92 to 93 mile per hour fastball again. His sliders around 85, 86. Like, he is pitching back to where he was back in 2020 when he won the Cy Young. What do you think, so far about him and just overall the team in the very, very early stages of this season so far?
I think Shane looks like the old Shane Bieber we've been wanting to see over the last couple of last year or two. Obviously last year he had that injury to his arm, and it kind of just put him out and he was struggling before that too. So
Yeah.
being able to see him, get sorted out, and even last year he had no velocity on his pitches, which is why he was getting killed a lot. Now he's got that velocity back. He's back up into the at least like the mid 90s pitching wise, and I mean he looks like the old self again. He looks like his 2020 Cy Young self all over again, and he had 11 strikeouts against Oakland, 9 last night against Seattle, and I get it. It was against Oakland, it was against Seattle, but like obviously Oakland probably going to be the worst team in baseball this year. And then you have Seattle who have dropped off over the last couple seasons, and they're kind of a okay team. They're not great, they're just okay.
Yeah.
Their only standout is Julio Rodriguez. But overall, I mean, the Guardians are looking really good. Like you said, I think the biggest concerns for everyone coming into the season was how are we going to get hits? Who's going to replace Miles Straw?
Yeah.
How are we going to score runs? And I guess we're seeing it now. Tyler Freeman's filling in nicely for Miles Straw,
Oh, yeah.
playing very well defensively, hitting the ball very well. Already has a home run on the season. But again, like you said, the Guardians playing that old school small ball, and everyone, especially other teams today and everyone in the media world and all around the world are like, baseball now is all about exit velocity off the bat. And, how far can you hit a home run? Can you hit it 500 feet? And it's all about home runs now and exit velocity. And the Guardians are like, bloop, single go bloop.
Yeah.
They're playing the old school, they're just playing old school, And everyone's like, oh, well, you can't sit there and just rely on bloop singles and, doubles. It's like, well, the Guardians can, and it's working because we have, I think as of right now, as games are live, we have the top run differential in the MLB, and we scored the most runs in the MLB to start the season. So that's the small ball is working, and everyone's like, no, you got to hit the big ball now. If you want to compete, you have to hit the big one. It's like, no, not for the Guardians. They're playing small ball, and it's showing. They're hitting the ball well. Everyone's getting good averages. We talked about it. The Guardians are tied for first for doubles on the season already. They're number one in triples. The Guardians have 3 triples on the year already, so we're tied for triples as well.
Which is insane to think about, by the way.
We are top, I believe it's top 10 in hits. So the Guardians, just doing the work. Yeah, we're number 3 in hits. So, and I want to say runs as well, because I'm looking at it now. We're also 3rd in runs. So Guardians basically top 3 in every baseball statistic except for obviously home runs. We're more middle of the road. We're like 18th or 19th in home runs. But again, the small ball's working, and everyone's like, oh, well, this is not going to work. And the only thing the Guardians can really do is just hope that their pitching stays healthy and rely on their pitchers like they always do. And it's like, well, now the pitching does just not only does look good, but so does the hitting. And we're taking a massive step from last year, and I want to transition this because this is a perfect transition into Stephen Vogt, because what he's been doing with this lineup is incredible, because it's like he has 2 lineups, one for right-handed pitchers and one for left-handed pitchers.
Yeah.
And you never saw Tito do this, because Tito obviously is the old school manager. Whoever you are, you're just going to play every single day, every single game. And you might interchange the catcher in the DH every so often. But other than that, you're more likely going to play every single day.
Yeah.
And there's no change into the lineup, and you're seeing Vogt, like, okay, against left-handed hitters or pitchers, you'll see David Fry incorporated into the lineup. You'll see this guy incorporated into the lineup. You'll see Ramirez go from batting, you know, second to batting third in the lineup, and against righties he's going bat second. You know, and again against right-handed pitchers, you might have this guy into the lineup instead of David Fry, and so he's making this lineup fit to where he plays into his own guys' strengths.
Yeah.
He's David Fry's a lefty killer, and everyone's worried about David Fry starting as a DH in the first game of the season against the A's, and he went 3 for 4, and he was a lefty killer. He did it last year, and he showed why he is. He went 3 for 4 in his first game. I think the second time we faced a left-handed hitter, he had another hit. So again, it's just one of those things where we have to trust Stephen Vogt. He's a young manager. He came off retirement 2 years ago, so he's fresh. He's got fresh ideas. He knows how to manage this lineup. All we need is just this pitching to get going, and Shane Bieber is leading the way. Now the others did struggle. Yeah, Logan Allen struggled in his first game. He's picked up now. Tanner Bybee pitches tomorrow, and we're gonna see how he picks up again, if he picks up from his first game. And then, Carlos Carrasco's a vet. He's gonna pick it up, I'm sure. He had his first game didn't go so well, but in the middle of his first game, he started to settle in and do what Cookie used to do, and that's get double plays and strikeouts, and then obviously Tristan McKenzie too. Like, again, we'll talk about him here soon, but Stephen Vogt's doing very good things with this lineup.
Oh yeah, and I think that's the beauty of having a guy that's a little more well-tuned into the current game,
Mm-hmm.
And like, don't get me wrong, Francona is going down, or will go down, as one of the best GMs ever. Just
He's a
how
Hall of Famer.
he is, but he was so old school, comparatively speaking to the new game now. And Vogt, I mean, he just retired 2 years ago, so this guy is still well tuned within the way that just the game works, and he really does a very good job with the lineups, and I think he does a really good job with matching up his pitchers with certain catchers, which I know we wanted to talk about. Dude, that is one of the biggest things and the biggest reasons I think why guys like Bieber are playing so much better, because he has continuity with Hedges already. Like, he's played with him back in 2020 when he won that Cy Young, and he's obviously just a veteran as well. It just makes sense to start him over Bo right now. But it doesn't mean that Bo isn't going to get a chance. Like, Bo is probably a better hitter than Austin is, but they're both great behind the plate, and they both know their own strengths. So it was really frustrating when you were hearing fans bitch about Bo not starting the first game or two, just because of who we had pitching. And again, that's the beauty of having a guy not only recently been in the game, but also as a former catcher. He just knows how important that continuity and that relationship is between a pitcher and a catcher. It's so intuitive and so important, and I think it plays a big factor in just that, overall success. And Bo is going to get plenty of work, and Bo's playing well right now. I believe he at least has a hit right now. I'm going to look right now. He doesn't. He's struck out twice, but he's still batting .235 this year. And 1.2 that I want to make, guys like Kwan, Jimenez, Josh Naylor, Will Brennan, Riccio, all these guys are batting over 300 right now. Jose is sitting around 273, which is pretty average for him anyway. Like, he's usually around that 270 to 290 range, so he's pretty much on par with him. He's got 2 hits today. He's got 2 ribbies. Just solid work out of the team so far. Like, I really think that they understand their strengths, and I think Francona was trying to do this. I just don't think he understood how to do it in this game again, because he wanted to play the little ball. He wanted to play that ball where you would bunt and get guys in scoring position, but then you would leave freaking runners on base and strike out or pop out. Josh Naylor, he doesn't have a hit today, but he's got 3 RBIs because he's got 3 sack flies. He's doing his job. Like when runners are in scoring position, hit it hard, hit it long, and hit it high, and give your guys a chance to score runs. So these guys know that they have solid base running. They know their strengths. I'm really glad to see them sort of understanding the assignment so far. And I'm just really excited to see what Vogt can do with this lineup. But there is still some sort of concerns, and that goes into my next point, which is McKenzie. Struggled his first start. You mentioned this even on Twitter about him struggling because he didn't go for the Tommy John surgery, which a lot of those guys will do when they have that type of injury. He did not, which can also lengthen your rehab, but also it doesn't really fully heal the muscles and the ligament itself. So it could take him a little bit before he really starts to get his velo back. Or maybe he re-hurts it and then he has to. We don't know what's going to happen there, but are you worried at all about him, or do you kind of just want to give him some time, see what he can do, and see if he can slightly progress each time? Because that first game, man, he was throwing meatballs. Like it was like he was throwing for batting practice.
I think it's fair to say that it's only fair to give him the first few games, at least like the first like 3 to 4 games. Yeah, he was throwing meatballs, but he's going up against, I think, the Twins and the Yankees up next are his next 2 starts, and now you're going up against 2 really good hitting teams, and this is where the test comes in a sense.
Yeah.
Now you actually have to be an elite pitcher, because these guys are not going to mess around. These guys are not going to shy away from hitting home runs, hitting the ball well. So this is a true testament to McKenzie. If he can't do well in these next couple of games, I think he looks at it and says, I should probably opt for surgery, because if I try too hard, again, I could re-injure myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, don't get me wrong, I have the most confidence in him in the world, but I think he should have been smarter and opted for the surgery last year when he had the chance. Take the year off, come back, rehab a lot for at least like half the season, do a lot of rehabbing and, stuff like that, and then come back and then, go back to throwing 94, 95-mile-an-hour fastballs.
Yeah.
But right now, you can barely touch 90 with your fastball. Your slider was just as fast as your fastball, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
And, his fastballs used to have crazy movement because he was throwing it so hard and stuff like that. Now, his movement is throw it straight over the plate and just let people crush it. So, for me, it's like a 50-50 thing. Like you said, there's a 50% chance he can get that velocity back with a lot of rehab, but there's also a 50% chance that he could really just shred up that shoulder, and then he really has to get the Tommy John surgery.
Yeah.
And he's going to be out even longer than what he anticipated to be if he, instead of just doing it right now, be like, okay, I'll do it right now, be out for a year, and then I could come back next season. If he were to tear it again, he's going to be like, now I'm out for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
And I could get traded in that time period, and they'd be like, okay, well, we're just going to give up on you, and you're going to go somewhere else, whether you have success or not. Like, we can't deal with this. So
Yeah.
I think for him, he has the next few games as like a prove it kind of situation. And if Vogt and the organization were smart after the next couple games, that they said, hey, look, man, this ain't it. You should probably get the surgery. They'll probably more than likely almost force him to get surgery.
Or even at least put him down in the minors and let him keep
On that
rehabbing
velocity.
it. Yeah. Because, it's so important, especially in this league. Like, dude, if you don't have your velo, it's hard to really get some guys off the plate. You got to work, your good and your bad, stuff. And, man, if he can't get his fastball above that 92 plus, I mean, it's going to be tough for him for, a little while. And it sucks for guys like that because Tristan is like, he's capable of literally winning a Cy Young. Like, he is talented. He really is. When he is on, that kid can strike out 13 guys a game. No problem. It's insane the numbers that he can put up, but it's a gamble when you don't resort to take the surgery, and it could end up biting him in the butt. It could be a blood blessing. Who knows? Like we just still have to see more of him. So hopefully it was just a one time fluke. Hopefully it was whatever excuse he wants to come up with. Hopefully it's a one time thing. But Meatball McKenzie cannot come back. Then for the next game. But I do know the next guys starting to come up, and I know you've said this all already. But we got Bibee, Carrasco, and then McKenzie, and then we go back to the Bieber, Allen, Bibee, Carrasco. So, yeah, we'll see. But I think the important thing too is we also still have Gavin Williams in the back. As soon as he's ready to get off of IL, he could, move in place of Carrasco, and Carrasco can go to a more of a bullpen, sort of role, which I think would fit him better, just because I don't think he has the stamina to do what he once could anymore. He's older. So I think asking him to start a lot of games this year is just not in the cards, and I don't want to do that to him.
Mm-hmm.
So getting a guy like Gavin Williams back, I mean, he's, I think, the most underrated and more talented guys that we have besides Bibee. And I mean, Logan Allen today has pitched fantastic so far. I mean, he is currently he's just now out of the game now, but he had 6 Ks, 3 walks, but he went 6 innings, scoreless, only gave up 4 runs. He did his job. He literally, he didn't even hit 100 pitches on the day. So he had a solid game. So I mean, if you can just keep your guys in that level, and our guys can score 5 runs a game like we honestly have. I mean, I'm pulling up our previous scores so far. I mean, we won 8-0, 6-4, 12-3, lost 4-3, lost 5-4, won yesterday 5-2, and obviously we're up 8-0 right now. So we're putting points up on the board, like we're scoring runs every game, which was a big issue that we had last year. So if we can continue that, sky really is the limit. And I think that's the most important thing that we have to look in terms of hitting. We're going to hit our dingers, like guys like Josh and Bo and Ramirez. They're going to be our big, home run guys. And, there's going to be guys creeping up as well. I've noticed a lot that Quan is starting to get some power behind his swing now too. He's a very interesting guy to see what he does throughout the year because of just how powerful he is. Tyler Freeman, another just big body dude that can really, put a hand to the, ball and smack one out. Will Brennan has played outstanding this year. Riccio has played outstanding this year. Guys are just stepping up so far, and it's beautiful to see the young guys really starting to fill in their role and really gain the confidence that they needed for, this team. So I'm really excited about that, but I do hope that McKenzie does get a grip and we don't have to have these scares, because early on that's going to be the conversation, and fans are going to be hard on him. I know they will, because they were hard on him last week. When he had his bad day. So let's pray for him. We'll see how he does. But going over so far, who are some of your early favorites on the team right now? Besides the guys like Josh and J Ram, everybody loves those two guys. But
Well, yeah.
who have been your guys you've been like, okay, man, I see you. You're putting in work.
So my guys right now have been, Will Brennan, Tyler Freeman, Brian Rocchio, and honestly, even now, just after one game, Cade Smith has been outstanding, and Tyler Beatty also has been, again, outstanding. So these 4-5 guys, have been absolutely outstanding. Tyler Freeman filling in nicely for Miles Straw in center field, hitting the ball well. Will Brennan, again, going into right field and hitting the ball extremely well, making plays out in right field. Then you have Brian Rocchio, who took over shortstop duties for after we got rid of Ahmed Rosario. And he came up from AAA too, and he has been very good defensively and offensively, and hitting the ball well, and playing some really, really solid defense. And then you go into, the pitchers like Cade Smith, who comes in his first appearance out of the bullpen, 5 strikeouts in 2 innings.
Yeah.
And then Tyler Beatty, again, in the same game, coming in throwing 3 strikeouts in 2 innings, and then comes out, I think, yesterday and throws another couple strikeouts in an inning. So both of those guys have been outstanding to start their season. So I'm giving a lot of these credits to the young guys, the guys who've recently been called up or, are finally getting an opportunity, and they're making the most of the opportunities. Your Tyler Freeman's, your Will Brennan's, your Brian Rocchio's, because I know everyone's like, well, Gabriel Arias might be ahead of Rocchio to start the season and stuff like that. And Arias hasn't been doing well. It's
Definitely
been Brian
not
Rocchio.
in terms of the hitting aspect. Like he's batting 154 right now.
Yeah, and Brian Rocchio's in almost 200s.
Oh no, he's 304 right now. Yeah, he's 304 right now.
So again, Rocchio has been playing very, very well, and I think he's going to be the day-to-day starter going forward instead of Gabriel Arias. I think Arias is just going to come in as more of a rest day for Rocchio type of ordeal.
Or even with him now, he's playing. I think he's playing third right now for J-Ram, and then J-Ram is our DH. So that's gonna happen too, and that works perfectly.
Yeah, and that again, like you said, that works extremely well because, like you said, there's guys on this team like your David Fry's, like your Arias's. These guys could play multiple positions.
Yeah.
Arias could play short. He could play third. David Fry, he could play first, catcher, outfield, right field. He could be everywhere.
Yeah.
So that's the good thing about having these guys on your team is that, yeah, absolutely. You could throw these guys anywhere, and I think David Fry just came in.
Yeah,
For
he did.
Jimenez.
Yeah.
So and it looks like he's playing third base, and he moved Arias to second.
Yeah.
So again, there you go, another case. So David Fry going to third base.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say too, Fry is gonna be one of my guys that I'm really gonna, look at right now because he's only had 7 at bats, but he has 4 hits and 7 at bats. He has 3 RBIs. He's got 2 walks already. A double. He's just a guy that again, we've talked about this too. The dude just hits balls, man. The dude is just a solid hitter, and he's so fun to play. He can play a lot of different positions. He can play in the infield. He can play in the outfield. He can play catcher. It's nice to have a Swiss Army knife sort of guy like that. But I mean, dude, Stephen Kwan, man, he's been my guy as well. I think Stephen Kwan is going to really turn out to be one of the best players that we have on this team by at the end of this season. And obviously, he's been sort of he's been on that sort of trajectory. But I mean, he's batting .353 right now, just playing unbelievable ball. And even Will Brennan. Will Brennan is, one more guy too that I want to throw in. But dude, Rocchio, for him to be able to really solidify himself as hey, he is going to be the shortstop. He is going to be the guy that plays short a majority of the time, and I think he's earned it. I really think he's earned it.
And he just came up from AAA in the middle of last season too, towards the end of last year's, and for him to just come up and immediately solidify his position shows how good this farm system is for Cleveland. Because
once again,
well, and the thing is, we've talked that, and there's talks about this last year because everyone's like, okay, well, Ahmed Rosario we could get rid of because in AAA we have a kid by the name of Brian Rocchio who's been balling out and he's great defensively and hitting wise.
Yeah.
So we'll bring him up. Again, Tyler Freeman bouncing up and down, and not getting much game time, but going into center field and filling it for Miles Straw. it was just the little things, soon enough in the next month or so, we're gonna see Kyle Manzardo come up. And Kyle Manzardo is going to be the everyday first baseman while we could put Josh Naylor at DH and
Yeah.
allow Naylor to not play first base because Naylor's kind of shaky as a defensive first baseman.
Yeah.
But having Manzardo, who's great defensively at first base and can hit with power,
Yeah.
you could throw him at first and you could throw Josh Naylor as almost an everyday DH. And then probably a little bit later in the summer, you'll get that Chase DeLauder kid to go into right field, and him and Brennan will kind of interchange in the out at right field. And again, Chase DeLauder, a kid who great defensive player, but can also hit. And again, what you needed in right field, hit with power.
Yeah.
What you've been wanting from Oscar Gonzalez, who who could hit with power, but he also struck out 90 times too after every home run. So
Yeah.
that's not so. These guys are there's guys that are ready and who can come up and take over any position and just do well. The only reason why Manzardo and Chase DeLauder aren't here is because they just needed a little bit more time in the minors, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Let them get used to more hitting because those guys, especially with the Guardians, haven't been with the team very long. Chase DeLauder started out last season in
Lake County.
and then the last 50 games of the season finally got up to Akron.
Yeah.
And now I'm sure probably within the next month or two you'll see him go up to AAA and play a little bit in AAA before he gets called up to the bigs. And then you'll see Manzardo, like I said, within the next month or two join the Guardians and be the first baseman every day.
Yeah.
And then this team is now not only going to be good hitting wise, but now you have multiple guys who can hit with power, and DeLauder, Manzardo, Naylor, Ramirez. Now you have power hitters, and now everyone's like, "Oh, the Guardians are for real again."
Yeah.
And they're the youngest team in baseball.
Yeah.
If you could retain Shane Bieber, oh my goodness, it's even scarier. And there's been talks that he could go at the deadline, but there might be some sneaky talks where he could sign an extension and stay.
Yeah.
Which would be even better.
Yeah, I mean, it would be better. And I said this before we started up. I really don't want to get rid of him, unless what we get back for him is just too good to pass up. Yeah. Because I mean, the one good thing about our current state of this team right now is we have pitching for days in the farm. Yeah. Like we have guys that can pitch at some point. We have 4 guys in this rotation that when on, they are on. And again, we have Gavin Williams still sitting back right now. I think we have another guy on the 60-day DL that's really good too. I forget his name.
Daniel Espino.
Yeah, Espino. So I mean, I don't know if he ends up being a guy that comes back later on this year or not. I mean, we'll see how bad that injury is, but again, that's just another guy there potentially.
And the thing about Daniel Espino too is he's your number 1 prospect, especially for pitching. And he's been down in Akron for the last couple of seasons, but the problem is he's been dealing with so many injuries. Last season he had a knee injury. The season before was a shoulder injury. Right now I can't remember what it is again. I think it might be another shoulder or like elbow injury.
Yeah, I forget what it was.
But when he is on the field, the dude is a strikeout machine. This dude makes you. It's like having a second Shane Bieber in the lineup. And he's been wanting his chance to be in the majors with the Guardians. The problem is he can't stay healthy. And if he does stay healthy, he can go right up to AAA, ball out, and then come to the Guardians. And like you said, there's other guys in the road who could come up. You have that Nick Mikolajczak.
Yeah.
Mikolajczak. He was in AAA for the last season or so, and he, again, a great relief pitcher. And then you have Cantillo, Joey Cantillo, who's another great pitcher. Who's a starter, who had over 150 strikeouts in the last 2 seasons in the minors.
Yeah.
Which
he's out for the next 8 to 10 weeks, though. He's got a left hammy.
Yeah. So a lot of these guys are strikeout machines. Yeah, they're injured, but they're strikeout machines who are ready to come up, though. They just need to get away from their injuries, pitch a couple games, and then, oh my God, this rotation is going to be even more better. And that's what it talks to you where, you could probably get rid of Shane Bieber and get maybe some more bats and another pitcher out of it or something.
Yeah, I mean, so with Espino, he is out for the whole year.
Hmm.
So he had to repair a right shoulder a capsule and rotator cuff. So yeah, it was another basically shoulder injury. So again, just
Yeah.
another tough loss for him. But like again, once those guys do get healthy, it really is sky's the limit for them. So
Yep.
that's why it's not an overly concerning thing for Bieber to potentially get it, get traded, which I mean, I still think makes sense for them in the long term. I just think they should have done it last year,
Hmm.
when he was starting to struggle. But if he's going to play well this year, and then they do decide to put him up for trade,
You could get the
um,
bag.
you can really get a bag for him, especially with the way he's playing. I would hate for him to go to like a Dodgers team or a Yankees or just one of those bigger teams that are going to come out swinging and are going to need a guy, and then they're going to dominate in the playoffs because of him, and that he's going to win a title before us. Like that's just how that stuff always goes, and I don't want that to be the case for Bieber unless it's with us. But we'll see. It's going to be a long season. Um, I just really hope that everybody can stay somewhat healthy. I mean, obviously, injuries are a thing of this game. The season is so long; guys are going to get hurt at some point. But so far, I have nothing to really complain about in terms of the everyday lineups. The way that Vogue has really managed this team, I think it was the right move to bring him in, and I really do think sky's the limit for this team. So we'll see how it goes. I believe we're still up, yeah, 8-0, top of the ninth. So we are almost freaking done. We have one more full inning left since we are away. So Seattle will have one more chance to try to score 8 runs in the ninth inning. Which, listen, it's happened before. I don't expect it to happen there. Seattle's been a
Yeah.
really rough team. Even the A's as well. Like we've fortunately just been able to get some really bad teams to start off, which is nice for us and nice for the confidence. But us finally getting thrown into divisional play within this next few series, actually, because I think we play the Twins and then Chicago is our home opener, which they're always our home opener. I swear to God, I think
Yeah.
we've I think we've played the White Sox at home as like our first home games every year since I can remember, man. Since like the 2010s at least, probably even further back than that. So I don't know if that's just like a tradition that they have here. I don't know what it is, or I don't know if they just copy the same uh, schedule every year. I don't
Just
know.
copy and paste it. Just be like,
I
yeah,
mean,
there's a
dude, with that
schedule.
many games, I feel like they almost have to.
Yeah.
like straight up, just be like, yeah, you guys are gonna have the same, trip to the what, to the west every time, at this time of the year and all this. I wouldn't blame them. It's 182 games. It's a lot of games, so
Yeah.
I don't blame them. But yeah, so we're actually gonna finish off here with some Cavs talk because obviously the Cavs are still rolling, still doing their thing. They won last night without Donovan, as he is sort of managing this knee injury slash his broken nose that Tristan gave him. But they did win last night. The Jazz were pretty beat up as well. I think they were without Markian and a couple other guys. So they were pretty beat up as well. But Mobley was a big factor in that game. He played really, really well, and I think he was super, super aggressive. And I talked about this before we got on here. Just about him being aggressive seems to be like a true difference maker for us. Um, what do you think about the Cavs so far right now? They've been sort of up and down right now. Like they've been kind of frustrating to watch. I can't lie. Like they've had some pretty rough games. So what do you think about them so far? What have you liked, and what do you think needs to change right before the playoffs begin here in the next few weeks?
I mean, like you said, it's been up and down. We're on a West Coast trip right now, and we've already lost 1-1. We're in Phoenix and LA for 2 games, and then you come home for three. So lately, there's not been much to love. With the Donovan Mitchell injury and being out for a while, the Cavs just can't get stuff done. I think we are I can't remember our record, but it's not really been the best. As we've been talking, I think we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 wins since the All Star break, which has not been good.
Yeah.
So the Cavs just need to figure something out, especially without Donovan Mitchell. And I know everyone likes to point the finger at Darius Garland and Darius Garland only, but it's
Yeah.
not just him.
No.
There's so many other players on the team who were just as bad as Garland. JB's rotations were during that time were just as awful as they were at the beginning of the season. So, for a lot of the people who pointed the finger at Darius, the likes of G. Bush and stuff like those kinds of people who
The
think that
same guys, yeah, the same
the
guys
same,
that bitch and complain about the same players.
yeah, the same thing over and it's like it's not just Darius Garland. Like, okay, cool, Darius Garland. I think it was like 2 nights ago. He had like barely 10 points, but he also had like what 13, 14 assists.
Yeah.
So, and it's not like he's not getting it done on the offensive side. He's getting the assists. He's also getting it done on the defensive side. He's been good defensively too.
Yeah.
So he's just not been scoring the basketball, and that's okay because, again, we look at Mobley who had 21 points. We look at LeVert who led the team I think with almost 30. He had 26.
26. Yeah, he had 26.
And
Jared Allen had 21 as well.
I think Darius Garland's looking into it and like, okay, this is good because I don't need to be the only one who scored the basketball anymore. And this is how I look at it: is when it was just Darius Garland, when Mitchell got, I think it was injured at the beginning of the season or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Darius Garland had to go out there and drop 30 points.
Yeah.
And such. But I think he's realizing now that he doesn't have to. He can feed people. He can do other things. And he can allow Mobley and Allen and LeVert and some of these other guys drop 20 plus points. Sam Merrill also had 6 threes. I think he had 18 points. He had like 6 or something. He had 6 threes or some shit like that.
Yeah.
So he realizes there's other people on the floor who could score baskets just as good as he can, and he doesn't have to drop 25 or 30, and then everyone around him only has 10, and they get their asses kicked. Yeah. So I think people need to relax on the Darius Garland issue and focus more on this is more of a JB issue because JB's rotations have been god awful, and he continues to be god awful. So on this road trip, we play a good team tonight. We play the Suns. I think Donovan Mitchell's supposed to be back tonight again. You do lose Dean Wade for the rest of the season with knee soreness and knee issues.
Yeah, that's honestly like a much larger loss than I want to give him credit for.
Yeah.
But I really think that's why they added Morris to do this team, because he sort of plays that role. I don't know if he necessarily plays it like Dean Wade, but he still is that same type of guy. And honestly, I think he's a little bit better of a shooter than Dean Wade. We didn't play with Okoro last night. He was out with some sort of right toe injury, so I don't know if that is something
he's still listed as out for tonight.
But one thing that I really, really like about this current box score from last night is the fact that Sam Merrill played 32 minutes. He scored 18 points. He had 6 threes. That's what I want in the playoffs. I'm beating my hand to my desk. Give Sam Merrill a minimum of 25 minutes a game. Minimum. I don't care if Okoro's playing. I don't care when Donovan's back. LeVert. Merrill needs to be in this rotation. He is way good of a shooter. Way too good of a shooter to not have on the floor consistently every game. And that is what pisses me off about JB. And we will get into him a little bit later. But actually, no, fuck it. Let's get into it right now. JB, dude, you have to figure it out. Because in my opinion, JB is the one thing that is going to either keep or lose Donovan Mitchell. That is my take. I'm sure there's a good bit of people that definitely agree with that. But I don't think JB and Donovan are a match made in heaven. And I don't think JB is what the Cavs need for this team. If you really want this team to be the team that you have for the next 3 to 5 years, you need a different head coach because his issues with these freaking rotations and how inconsistent they are, it bothers me. It bothers me so much that that the fact that our entire starting lineup is playing over 30 minutes a game, which is fine to a degree, but guys like Levert and Darius are always at like the highest point of minutes. And Levert had a great game last night. Um, but Levert also has a lot of nights where he struggles shooting the ball. And Struss is finally starting to feel his way back. Niang had a rough game last night, but he's still going to get a minimum of 15 to 20 minutes a game, and I'm fine with that too because Niang can get really hot. He can be a guy that hits 6 threes in the game as well. So he's just, dude, he has to play the players that are not only to his strengths, but the strengths against certain teams. And the fact that he is in what year are we in with JJJB? 3, 4,
I think
almost 5.
I think this is his fifth.
He's been here for too freaking long, man. Like, get it together, get a grip, figure your shit out because you are not going to last. Even if you get us to the Eastern Conference Finals, I guarantee he's still going to get fired. But if we have another first round exit, oh my God. People are going to run him out of town with pitchforks. I swear to God. It's going to happen because everybody on my timeline is constantly bitching about how bad JB has been, and it's getting tiresome. And when Ken Carmen says something about that, then something's up there. And that's really who to blame because, listen, Mobley has had tough stretches. Garland has had tough stretches. These guys are still young as hell. I think Garland's 23, 24. I know Mobley's about 22, 23. Both of these guys are young. They're still figuring it out. Even Jared Allen. I don't even think Jared Allen is 30 yet. I think he's only 26 or something, or 27.
Darius is 24.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Darius is 24. Allen's 25.
Yeah.
Strus
is still pretty young as well too. I think Levert
Strus is 28.
I think Levert is fairly young as well.
Levert's 29.
Okay.
The oldest
Yang,
one on the
I
team
know is yeah. And even Sam Merrill was young as hell too.
Sam Merrill's only, I think Merrill's 26 or 27. 27.
Wow.
So the oldest on the team is Morris at 34.
Right.
Morris is the oldest one on the team with Tristan behind him. And then everyone else is basically below 29.
Yeah, because even Okoro is only 23.
Donovan Mitchell's 27. Yeah, Okoro's 23 or 24. 23. Then Craig Porter's 24. Drew's 28. Dean Wade's 27.
This is still a very young team. I think
Yeah.
you need a better coach for these young guys to kind of keep the egos in check and really figure out how these guys can work together. Because, dude, there's times where JB is on, and then there's sometimes you're just going, dude, what are you doing? Like, what are you thinking right now? Why are you making this so much more difficult on yourself than it needs to be? I think he is his own worst enemy, truly.
Yeah.
I think he overthinks things. But I think everybody's really big worry right now is Mitchell, just because he's been dealing with this knee, injury the last few weeks. I know he's probably going to play tonight from what it sounds like. I haven't seen him tweet yet. Usually if Mitchell tweets, let him know. That means he's playing. So let me see if he's tweeted anything today. No, he has not. So he hasn't tweeted that since March 31st, which makes sense. So we'll see if he does play. If not, I'm honestly not even that overly concerned because I still think we're pretty much locked into the 3rd seed. I mean, I know we're not totally locked in. I think let's see. I'm actually gonna pull up the standings right now just because I want to see how. Okay, so I mean, we're still 2 games ahead of Orlando, and New York, and we're only. I mean, we're about a game and a half back from the Bucks for 2, so we're definitely really not gonna get 2 unless the Bucks decide to just lose everything, and we somehow win all. But I just don't foresee that happening. And that and that's fine. We obviously have the Suns, we got the Lakers, we got the Clippers, and then Grizzlies, Pacers, who are probably going to be our playoff matchup, and then we got the Hornets to end the season. So, not really a favorable schedule for us either. It seems like we're playing a lot of West Coast teams. Before we end with the Pacers and Charlotte. So we'll see how it goes. I think the biggest thing for us right now is just making sure that Donovan is as healthy as he can while also keeping him in some sort of a rhythm, because there's nothing worse than going into the playoffs and you haven't had play in 2 weeks. He's going to be rusty. And then that does put more pressure on guys like like Mobley and like Garland. And I don't know if Garland is necessarily afraid of that stress or not. I don't know if that has an effect on him. I think Garland's biggest flaw is him. He just needs to slow the game down a little bit. I think he plays really fast, and he just doesn't need to play that way. Now there's times where having to pick up that tempo is cool and it's nice and it helps with the game flow. But sometimes you do need to just slow it down, and I think that would eliminate a lot of his turnovers. I think that's why he turns the ball over so much. But still, you have guys like LeVert. Once Okoro gets back, it really helps us out, especially defensively. And even Okoro has been shooting the ball pretty well this year. So
this is best year shooting the ball.
Yeah. So I mean, just get healthy. Let's get healthy. Get right before the end of the season, so we can head into the playoffs as healthy as possible. And dude, let's make it out of the first round. Like get us out of the first round, and then let's just go from there. I think you have a pretty favorable matchup against the Pacers. They are talented. They do have a solid little roster. But comparatively speaking, between us and them, I mean, the Cavs should win that series like 4-1, 4-2 max. You should win your home games. And you should be able to take one on the road. So we'll see. Let's just get out of the first round, and after that, we can talk again about what we think about JB. But as of now, I just don't have a lot of faith in JB. I really don't. It makes it really hard for me to want to root for this team.
You're not the only one. I mean, you, myself. I think everyone in Cleveland has already given up on JB Bickerstaff. I mean, you listen to the media and other podcasts and other shows in Cleveland, and everyone's just sick and tired of JB. I think half of ESPN. I think everyone on ESPN Cleveland is. I think everyone on 92.3 The Fan is. Yeah. Other shows, UCSS, Big Play, whatever. Everyone's done and sick and tired of JB Bickerstaff. I think the whole city is. You go around the city, and everyone's like, "Can we just get rid of this guy?" So. Right. And especially too after the betting comments he made like a couple weeks ago too, and like how he's so dumb he sounded with that, like how he was trying to play victim and shit. So, I mean, he at this point has to go. Again, first round exit or not, no matter where you go, how far you go, he's got to be dumped. And I'm sure Kobe Altman's taking a look at it. I'm sure Dan Gilbert's taking a look at it. And we're going to see what happens, but I can't stand to have JB any longer. Like you said, if we do make the playoffs, we would have an easy playoff first series.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you could beat the Pacers within 5 games.
Yeah. You should.
You should.
I mean, you're talented enough to. You should.
Yeah, you should be able to beat them in 5 games. And you do play them, too, before the season ends. You play them once you come back home. So... Yeah. That'd be a test playoff like review basically.
Yeah.
So I think we just need to get, like you said, we need to get Mitchell back, get him healthy, let him work. Darius needs to slow down a little bit, slow his game down.
Mobley needs to stay aggressive.
And Mobley needs to keep being aggressive like he has been since his return.
Yeah.
And the Cavs will be just fine. I think if we had a better coach, I think things would be a lot better. I think we'd be above the wins count we are. Yeah. I also think Donovan Mitchell wouldn't be so hesitant to sign an extension. I think that might be what he's waiting for too. Is he could be waiting to sign an extension to see what happens with JB. Because I think if JB stays, I think he's more hesitant to sign an extension.
Yeah.
But if you get someone else in here, especially a more experienced guy, I think he's more than happy to stay in Cleveland. I really do think he likes it here a lot,
Yeah,
and
I do too.
because it's a good quality young team, it's a great young basketball team, a team that could go far. He was on a Jazz team that was old and kind of
Yeah,
gross, couldn't get out of the first round, and I think he sees a young cast team like we could definitely do some shit here,
yeah,
and I just think that JB's the only one that's holding it back. And if he wasn't, I think we get beat the Knicks last year. I think we handled things
yeah,
this year. And I mean, the Knicks aren't even as good as they were last year. So if you do see them again in the playoff, you should be able to handle them too.
yeah.
I think the only ones that are going to be tough are Boston, Miami's scary as is, um,
Bucks.
the Bucks. That's probably the only few teams. So And so, I mean, my whole thing is just JB's got to go. Otherwise, this team will continue to be stagnant because we were going up, 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 and now we're stagnant because JB doesn't do anything and he won't get us anywhere. I
Yeah.
would rather just get fucking Ty Lue back or some shit.
Yeah, I mean that would be nice. I mean I don't really foresee that happen.
No.
Honestly, like if anything, go get the Bucks coach that they dumped
Was
before
it
they got
Budenholzer?
Doc. Or no, it was some other dude. I forget his name. But he was the dude that got dumped before Doc just got randomly
Oh,
added
yeah,
to the
yeah,
team
yeah,
before
yeah.
All-Star break. Because he had 30 wins with them, starting off there like 30-11 or something. Like they were the best team in the East pretty much, besides Boston. And it's like whatever the Cavs end up doing, I
Oh,
100% think
Adrian
that they,
Griffin.
yeah,
Because
I 100% agree that they need to get rid of JB.
yeah, he got Adrian Griffin got fired after 43 games despite having to at that point I think they were atop of the East for like the last few games.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
got
like
fired and
they were
then he
streaking.
and then yeah, because they were streaking and then Boston overtook him and then he got fired and um Doc came in and made him worse.
Yeah, Doc literally made them worse. Like that's the funny part. It's like I don't think Doc wanted to coach at all this year. I think they just threw him a bag and he was like, "All
Fuck
right,
it.
all right.
Yeah.
If this is
So
what you guys want,
I wouldn't mind Adrian Griffin. I think he'd be great.
all right." Like somebody that's proven, but someone that's still young enough, or at least like mindful enough to like
Mhm.
understand the game currently. But JB just isn't it. Like he just isn't it. I don't think he understands his lineups. I think he overthinks things. He's his own worst enemy, dude. And I think he's gonna be the reason why we lose another series at some point this year. Because I mean, reality is, I don't see us getting into a finals appearance or anything like that. I think we have a chance to go to the East Finals, but once you step foot against Boston, man, it's going to be a tough task. Like that's going to be a tall task to have. I almost think it's going to be another rematch between
Mhm.
Denver and Boston. Although I wouldn't be surprised if OKC or even the Wolves, uh, come out in the West. The West is stacked. I mean,
The West is
the West is
stacked as
stacked,
hell.
man. Like even with the teams that are going to play for the seventh and eighth seed, they're all above 500. Like the
Hmm.
East, I think there's two teams that are above 500 that are like in the like playoff play-in tournament sort of thing. Now,
Yeah, because it's just Miami and Philly. The
so
Bulls are 36 and 40, and the Hawks are 35 and 40.
so my question is, what was the point of the like middle of the season tournament thing that we had that the I think the Lakers won this year? Like, what did that do?
Nothing. It was just a dumb tournament in the middle of the season that that the teams had to participate in.
Like,
That's
I
literally all
think
it fucking was.
it's the dumbest thing. Like, there's no playoff implication. Like, there was nothing that mattered.
It's
It was
it's
just,
it's not like soccer where there's implications of having
yeah,
of like in season because if you're a big soccer guy like I am, you know there's like in season tournaments like the Champions League or like
yeah,
the FA Cup if you're in England and the Carabao Cup and stuff like that. Like there's implications for those trophies, and especially like the Champions League. You know, you have to place in the top four in England to make the Champions League. You have to place in certain spots. You know, so and if you win Champions League, you know, there's incentives, you get money and stuff like that. So there's there's a reason why they do those, especially in the middle of the season,
Yeah.
because they're fun and it's exciting and it's there's something to watch. But for the NBA, there was nothing to it. It was just let's just throw in a mid-season fucking tournament, and that's it. Like there's nothing. Like I don't even think you get money for winning.
No.
Like there's no incentives. You just get a lame ass little trophy. At least in soccer, if you win the Champions League, you get incentives. Like you get like millions in cash and shit like that. Like there's a reason to, and you have to place in certain spots to get into the tournament. Like if the midseason tournament had something like that, where it's like, okay, like the top 8 teams in the East and the West are the only teams who could play in this tournament.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense to have everyone in it, and then you know Detroit getting knocked out fucking immediately. Same with like all these other trash teams. It just doesn't make sense to me. And again, there's no incentives to it. Like you don't get anything special for winning it, and it's
Yeah.
not even a major accolade either. Like this doesn't define LeBron's legacy because he won a mid-season tournament and Jordan didn't. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Like the first year they did it, he wins. It's like, okay, it still didn't matter because you're not like it's not
it's
the
not the
end goal.
finals.
But even so,
No,
like the Lakers are playing a lot better this year, especially towards the end. Like fucking dude, Anthony Davis, he's been playing some of his best ball that he's played since before
yeah,
he like got to the Lakers. Like I haven't seen him throw up those numbers in a minute. So
yeah,
him playing that well, it's kind of scary. Uh, and that really makes the West a lot more fun when you have LeBron literally competing in that that conference again. Because if you can give Denver or the Wolves a run for their money, dude, hell yeah, like that's good for the game.
oh
It
fuck
really
yeah,
is because like dude, I think though the one thing that is always a bummer and why I think we all sort of like overlook the Cavs and Warriors days because it was every year we knew it was going to be those two at the end.
yep,
Like it didn't matter. Like we knew that we were going to sweep through the East because the East was so dog shit, and the West was pretty dog shit as well to the point where it was like Golden State was going to roll whether they had KD or not because they were just that fucking good.
yeah,
Um, so it was like I don't ever want that again. Like I don't ever want two teams to be the teams that meet up every year for fucking 4 years or even more than 2 years. Like if you want to do a rematch like how it was with like Boston and like uh the Lakers when it was Kobe and Paul Gasol, those were some fun matchups. Like those were fun because
yeah,
Boston won for the first one. LAL came back and did it again. That stuff's fun. Like if Boston wants to get a rematch between Denver and Boston wins, that's fun. But we don't need fucking Denver winning another one and hearing them gloat and about how they're the greatest team on earth and all that crap like we did last year. So
mhm,
we'll see. I'm a little nervous because of JB. I don't have enough trust in JB to be able to get us past the first round.
yeah,
But if we can, dude, if we can get to an Eastern Conference Finals, it will at least give Mitchell that okay, we can do this, but he's got to go.
yeah.
And
He's got to get the fuck
ultimately,
out.
and before we get off here, I do want to say I think Mitchell will play a significant part in whether or not that happens, and he will play a significant part if he does stay in
Yeah,
who is brought in. And I don't have a problem with that because LeBron sort of did the same thing, and I think Donovan deserves that that sort of credit because he is just that good of a player. Um, so yeah, I mean, if Donovan goes to Dan Gilbert or goes to you know Kobe and says, "Hey, this guy ain't it," they're gonna be like, "All right, dude, like we get it, we got you," and it could really help you keep him. But if you lose him, I also don't think it's truly the end of the world, and I think it helps with your cap spot, and you can go after somebody else, or try to draft for for somebody here after this year. I think is when I think this is our last year that we don't have a first rounder. I don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But yeah, we'll see what the Cavs can do. We have 6 more games left to get right, and then after that, it is officially playoff. Basketball, which I'm still glad we're in. I love playoff basketball, and it always sucks when we didn't have the Cavs in playoff
Yeah.
basketball.
I
So,
do want to try and go to a game this year. This
dude,
playoff too.
I mean, I went to game 2 last year with my little brother, and it was one of the most fun experiences ever. We beat the shit out of the Knicks. Everybody was screaming, New York sucks. It was, oh my God, it was fantastic.
I've never been to a playoff basketball game, so I've always wanted to experience like the Cavs playoff. So
Oh, and like that was my little brother's first game going ever to a Cavs game. Like he's been to
okay.
like a Canton Charge game, but when I was with Leaf at Wilter, they gave us some deal for Cavs tickets. And the first game I was in Michigan with my buddies. We were up in Mackinac, and then I came back and was like, "Hey, game 2 is this day, so be ready." Because like I literally had to leave work and then go straight there.
Yeah.
It was fun. So yeah, I've taken him to that game, and then I took him to that Guardians game last year, where that was that same uh weekend that Josh Naylor hit a home run in the 8th inning for like 4 straight games
Yeah.
up against the Angels. That was a fun game too because we were down like 4-1 or something throughout the entire game, and then we just had like a 6-run 8th and just destroyed them.
Yeah.
That was so
I
much
love
fun.
that. Dude,
So yeah, he had a hell of a time.
I'm excited for Guardians. I'm excited for the home Guardians games. I did that
Yeah.
MLB ballpark deal, so now I get like I did it last year too, where I get to go to like every home games in a standing
Yeah.
room section. So it's sick.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, brother. You got anything else before we log off here for today?
Guardians won 8-0. So
Yep. Yep. Just another solid win.
big win.
Yeah, they're playing well, man. They're just batting the ball really well. They're pitching extremely well. Skies really is the limit for this freaking team, man. I'm telling you.
Oh, absolutely. I'm excited to see what continues to go on for them.
Oh yeah. All right, guys. Well, it's gonna do it for us. We will see you guys next Friday with more Guardians talk, Cavs talk, and who knows, maybe the Browns will do something fun. We'll see. We'll see you guys next week.